group. Do you want me to share it out to your group too?
Yeah.
You can share it out to your group. Actually,
Yeah, let me do that. Hold on. How do I do that? When I just go to your group and pretty much share it into my group?
I'm gonna set it up right now. I'm gonna share it. It's on our live page, so I'm sharing it out to the group right now. So whoever's watching on the live page, we're live. Um, but
Oh, got you. Then I can share it to my group. Got you. Okay.
yeah. Or I could just go and share it. I gotta refresh.
No, no problem. I can share. I think it's better if I share it to my group.
Yeah, that's probably better.
Uh,
I'm trying to find the live post. Oh, there we are. Okay. Share. Okay. We're in a group. All right, guys, I'm just getting everything set up. Nick will be with us shortly, and we have a few other people jumping on, hopefully here in a little bit. But we're going to get started very soon. If you guys are seeing this on the page or the group, either or, you can leave questions or comments or anything there, and we'll be keeping track of it in real time, and hopefully be able to answer as many questions as possible. Right now, we're going live to the group. Okay.
I see it now.
Yeah, so you can share it out to your group. We're just gonna give Nick a few minutes here. He just had to take a call.
Yeah. I don't so I guess like the page, but it doesn't give me an option to share it. It's weird.
So let me share it. Oh, because you know what? Yeah, I'll share it out to your group.
Okay.
What is it? 10K something?
Facebook 10K Revenue Club.
I see it.
So it's not letting me do it because this is a closed group. Is that what it is?
Oh, you could share it from. I'm sharing it now from the page. So what I do is I share it from the page to the group. So
Okay.
all our videos stay on the actual business page. So that way we don't have to scroll through all the group comments and stuff that happens in the group, and we can just share it right on the page. But it's shared in your group now, so I don't know if you want to monitor that, see if any questions come in from there. But how's everybody today? I mean, let's see if anybody's watching. I think there's a couple of us watching. Oh, let me refresh here, and we're gonna get started up. So Nick's gonna be joining us really soon. Yeah, it looks like we got a couple of viewers. 11. Hey everyone, yo, Ross, what's going on? Rose, yes, we're here. And I think if they can come us in the group, that's probably better. So I don't have to monitor two things.
I'm going to go back to your group. I think it's a lot easier to monitor yours than just doing both of the groups together.
Yeah. Well, they won't, like your comments from your group, we won't see it in our group.
Okay.
So that's
open as another tab then.
Yeah. I'll have a tab up for that too.
All right.
All right, guys. So yeah, we're going to be talking about sales, prospecting, closing, and things like that. So if you guys have any specific questions before Nick gets on here, we'll be here in a few minutes. Please just start posting them in the group so we can have kind of a big list so we can go over at the end. Okay. All right. So anyway, while we wait for Nick, how was your day? Was it a productive day? Oz, by the way, this is Oz. He's gonna introduce himself here in a little bit, but we're just gonna chat a little bit till Nick gets back. So Oz, yeah, how's your day go? Any new deals? Any new sales? What have you been working on?
Yeah, we closed one deal today. It's $2,500 per month deal where we do the lead generation through Facebook ads for a client. So it's been good. That was a super busy day. I had 3 strategy sessions, and I had been invited to a podcast as a guest. So that took about 2 hours, like 1 hour of the prep time, the other hour of just recording it and answering questions. So we publish soon. So this week I had like 4 podcast appearances as guests. So that was good. So that was it for today. Like a couple of strategy sessions. I still have to send 2 proposals from the strategy sessions today, and tomorrow I have 3 more. So a pretty busy week.
Awesome, man. I had 2 calls today with potential prospects. Mostly today, I was working on a funnel. I'm looking to go into a new niche, and I
Yeah.
have no idea if it's gonna work. But the niche is a very high end type of niche where the ticket item's much higher. I don't see anybody really running ads in that space. So what I'm doing to kind of see if it's going to work is I just spent most of the day building a funnel
Uh-huh.
for a free consult for the niche. And I'm going to set up and launch ads probably for tomorrow or the day after. And I'm just going to run it for $20 a day into a market that I know there's 4 or 5 of those types of businesses in that market. And if leads come in, I'm just going to call them up and see if they take referrals and try and get in the door that way. Instead of going and prospecting and then seeing if I have something that works, because it's going to be so difficult to get in front of the decision maker, I'm just going to go the route of let me see if my funnel actually will produce some leads before I go sell something. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So that's kind of what I've been working on today. The funnel's done. Just got to finish up the ad and get that launched.
I think it's a good idea having the proof of concept before you sell it. I think many of us kind of do that, right? We sell it, then we figure out things. But in your case, yeah, you found a vertical that can afford to pay for that, and you're just building the funnel and trying to get results. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So, people are just commenting, who are the guests? So Eddie is supposed to come on here too. Eddie had a unique situation that he closed the deal on, and I kind of wanted him to talk about it. JR might join us, but no, his phone's at 23%, so he's not. Daniel Vega might join us. But Oz is going to talk about some really different stuff that you don't really hear other people talk about. And I know Nick and I have kind of spoken our method. We're still going to talk about the stuff that we do again, but we kind of wanted to bring a different perspective in here on somebody that doesn't really do the prospecting or the trials the way we usually do and the way most people teach you. So that's kind of why Oz is on here today. And yeah, so hey Jim, what's going on? And Brian, it was good speaking to you today. Let me know how that funnel works out. Don't launch it before I look at it. Is there a way to look up or check out Facebook ads in your niche that are in your area? You can do a search. There's some websites. I don't know about in your area, but if you go to like Addicted, ADICTED.io, you can actually type in a niche and see the ads that are running. And then if you can maybe find that and try and funnel hack it, then that's up to you. There's a couple of other tools. Do you know any tools to kind of look at ads that are running?
One thing that I use quite a bit is spyfoo.com, and you can look up how much someone is spending on ads, especially if you're into running Google ads and any type of SEO and whatnot. It kind of shows how much traffic they're currently getting. I use it to, just like you said, hacking their funnel, just finding out how much they're spending. If they are failing on certain areas, then I reach out to them. I use it as a prospecting tool, but that seems to be the only tool that we're using quite a bit daily.
Yeah, SpyFoo is good. I've used that. What's the cost on SpyFoo?
I don't know. I don't have the paid version, honestly. The free version works better. I'm gonna actually, there's a specific link within SpyFoo. It's not just spyfoo.com / something, but I'm drawing blank on that. Let me just pull that so I can share with people and they can start using that.
Yeah, so I use the tools that I use to do the research in the niche that I'm going into. Nobody's running fucking Facebook ads for. I couldn't find anything, and I looked to like 3 or 4 different tools. I looked at Espresso. I looked at Addicted. I used this thing called Niche Miner. I didn't use SpyFoo for it. I did not find a single ad. And when I searched Facebook for did a search, I got some really obscure shit in other countries. So I'm thinking that if I can get leads, it'll work out well. Plenty of Google AdWords in the space. So, but the landing pages in the space are really, really ugly. Like I actually Googled the niche plus landing page, right? And on page 3 of Google, I found some really good stuff, but all the other shit all looked the same and was all crap. So I found some good stuff to kind of put together the content that I wanted for my funnel. Kind of figure out, hey, what's the best layout in this space? Try and figure out what the pain points that these people are targeting in their copy. So kind of things like that. So yeah, hey Leon, how are you? I hope you stay on. We're gonna have some good shit for you today. Rose, you need more help closing and tips on keeping a client for a long term. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Definitely closing stuff. But yeah, it looks like Nick's gonna be a couple more minutes. So hey, Oz, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? There's about 25 people on here right now. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give them a little bit of background, and then we'll just kind of get into what you do differently besides the trials and stuff like that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, for your audience, I just posted a link on the comments for SpyFu. So you can go ahead and search based on the industry and any specifications, any filtering, like basic filtering, is going to pull companies based on industry. So you'll be able to have like an intelligent conversation about what they're doing as far as marketing and kind of reverse engineer their funnel. If their landing page looks like a shit, then you can call them out on that and say, you know what, we can do a better job. This probably why you're not closing as many deals. The more knowledgeable you are on a call, much better it is. All right. So a little about me. My name is Oguz Konar. I am the president of Local Marketing Stars. We're a New York-based agency. Last year, we acquired 47 new clients from so many different verticals on digital marketing. So we did Facebook ads for them, Google ads, SEO, email marketing, a bunch of other services. So working with that many clients in 1 year taught us so many things, right? First of all, don't work with that many different verticals. We didn't have 54 different verticals, but we had crazy, like weird verticals that we just took on. People find out about us. We're doing massive lead generation, so many strategy sessions throughout the days. And I remember just running calls, like 30 calls a week or so. And that generated a lot of business for us. And we kind of narrowed down our approach into about 10 verticals right now that we're going after. So that's what we did last year. And this year we're a lot more focused. So our approach, I know many of the people that you bring on and also yourself and the people who are starting out, they have the sales approach of giving free trials first, then kind of warming up the prospect, build the reputation with them, then kind of scale it from there and charge more after the free trials. Mine is a little different. So I think that causes us to sign up less number of clients, but charge a lot more. Our minimum fee is $1,500 per month on the get-go, and we always charge a setup fee. And we have something called, which I'll talk more about, incentive-based pricing. Usually a setup fee is anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 upfront. But if they make up their mind and make a decision within the next day or 48 hours, depending on their situation, we give a major discount from the upfront fee. But I almost always charge a fee upfront for doing the work and building the funnel. As far as like contracts, we have a minimum of 3 months contract. For some clients, I don't require contracts, but usually we get 3 months out of them. So it is a little high ticket, and the reason I chose that model is because I want to work with less number of clients, so it's less headache, right? But I definitely understand how beneficial it is for someone starting out. First, figure out what it is that they're doing, right? You got to know how to generate leads, then get clients and show your proof of concept that you can actually do this, then charge them more. And our process includes like a full-on strategy session, like a 1 hour strategy session. And I tell them upfront, like I'm going to be asking for the sale at the end of the conversation. I don't know how deep you want me to go right now, but I just want to give you a general idea as to what it is that we do.
We're going to go deep on this because you're doing things way different than most people are doing. And mostly for my selfish reasons too. I know we spoke about this before, but I'm getting ready to get into this new niche, so I definitely want to know more about it. But yeah. Let's go back. Let's backtrack because you said something that's a lot of people may have not picked up on: the setup fee, right?
Yes.
So you're going in and you're saying, hey, it's going to be $1,500 a month, but I'm going to charge you X to do the build out. And most people, and Ben, who's not on the call today, will attest to it. Most actual agencies charge a setup fee, right? So going out and doing these trials where you're not even charging them to build anything out makes sense on a local type of business because they're not going to really have the cash to have the budget to do all these things, but you may be able to get them to convince them to spend $1,500 with you if you get them leads. But when you're targeting, businesses with actual marketing budgets that are spending, 15 grand, 20 grand, plus on actual direct mail, other types of media, AdWords, whatever it is, to charge a setup fee. All the agencies that they work with generally charge some type of setup fee. So tell us a little bit about what is entailed in that setup fee. What does that look like? What are you actually setting up?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're definitely right. It's more about mindset than being able to charge it or not. If you position it properly, people have no problem paying a setup fee. Because think about running a business. You're running multiple businesses. I'm running multiple businesses. Whenever we want to buy something, for example, for one of my companies, we wanted to get freaking cable, like a phone and cable system. And the company had us sign a 2-year contract, and for installation, they charged us a couple of $100. And we were like, I guess, okay, you pay that. And the guy came in and did the installation. They guaranteed our business for 2 years, but they still charge a setup fee for that, right? And now in the consulting industry and in marketing industry, people are so afraid to even to bring it up, having this fear that they would not sign up at all. It speaks more about us than our clients, because if they're already spending money on marketing, if they're already convinced that they need to do marketing, they got to pay a setup fee. Like, I'm not letting that go. And the way you set that up is, you set up your strategy session. I confirm that they're going to be on the call. And when I start the phone call, I always say, hey, Nick is here.
Yo, what up? What up?
So we're talking, Nick, about, because Oz brought something up in his process, and I kind of backtracked him before we get really deep into the shit he does, is that I charge a setup fee, and I referenced how Ben, his agencies, and other marketing agencies charge setup fees. So he's kind of going into what is involved in a setup fee and why he does it. And you could continue us.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's all about positioning. So when I have the strategy session with them, we talk about their business, not my business, what I do, and all that stuff. I want to bring it home with them and have them have that pain that they're not doing enough, and there's so much opportunity on the table that they're not tapping into. Then, towards the end of the conversation, I tell them, all right, so do you have any other questions for me? And usually they say, yeah, of course, I want to know the price of how this will work. So up to what you do up to that point will determine whether you will get a setup fee or a monthly fee of $1,500 or more from that client. So it starts with targeting. If you're targeting an industry who only has a budget of $500 per month, no matter how good of a salesperson you are, you're not going to get a setup fee out of them or a month. Charge of $1,500 per month. So they need to be okay with spending money already. So the way I position it, all right, guys, so in order for our campaigns to be successful, we need to fix or optimize a couple of things about your online presence. Usually the setup fee either includes, if we're doing SEO, I tell them, listen, I'm not going to bring traffic to a shitty website. So your website right now is not optimized. So even if you have 1,000 people, you're going to still leave a lot of money on the table. These are the things that I see that look really, really bad. Of course, I put it politely, not quite like this, but I see that it's not mobile friendly. You don't have a landing page, or when you get a lead, you don't have a system to capture it immediately and follow up live, like real time. So we set up some integrations either with their CRM system or email system. So when a lead comes in, they immediately get it. We try to set up like a live chat. So that's more on the SEO part of that. If it is the Facebook ads, we tell them, listen, we're going to do some research about how to best position you, and that will take some time and effort, and we have to create your campaigns from scratch because your leads are exclusive. Like when you tell someone that the leads they get are exclusive, that means a lot to them. I think we kind of skim through that and don't really mention that. You're creating a campaign specifically for that client that they own, and you're promoting their services. You're creating images for them. You're creating the ad copy. You're testing so many things. Each of that has a value and requires so much expertise on that topic, right? And you have to let people see that. And when you just build that value proposition, or in marketing we call it stacking, when you do your stacking about what goes into the setup fee, and in their mind, that value should surpass what you're charging. Like when I'm done with stacking the setup fee, they probably think that I'm going to be asking for $5,000-$6,000. And I tell them, listen, normally I charge $3,000 upfront, but I like to work with businesses who can make a business decision and don't drag decisions. Like we're a boutique firm and we only work with select number of companies, and our best clients are the ones who can make a decision about their marketing, who are committed to make a change right now. If that's you, and based on what I've learned about you so far, it sounds like that's you, I'm going to give you a major discount. I'll charge you $1,500 only, but I need a decision right now. Is there anything that would stop you from doing that right now? So that's pretty much my close, and then I shut up and have them come up with whatever they do. Then they give their excuses and whatnot, and I got to talk to my dog, my partner, my wife, whatever the case. Then you give them only a certain amount of time. So I guess the secret to charging more or charging high ticket pricing or setup fee is having control of that meeting. Don't let them kind of push you around. You're the expert, you're the consultant, you're the one who's going to save their business a lot of time, and you deserve to be paid for that.
So a lot of this is coming down to the initial conversation, that strategy session, that 45-minute strategy session, where, I mean, people have heard me say it, where you're learning about their business. You're not talking about what you can do, what I can do for you. You're finding out about them, because then when you're going for that stack close, the conversation that it's kind of like a spoken pitch deck, right? You're taking all the shit that they told you over here, and you're stacking it together, and with the objections, you already have all of their objectives, right? You have all their objectives, all their goals, all their wants, all their needs. So when they come with those objections, you can reframe those and say, well, I thought this was the solution that you were looking for, right? Or however you're going to phrase that. So talk about a little bit about how that strategy session looks when you're setting it up, like that 45-minute. What's in that conversation?
Yeah, setting it up is really important. I don't just jump on the call with them. A lot of our leads come from, for example, LinkedIn. So someone says, yeah, Oz, give me a call, dude. Let's talk. I don't just grab my phone and call them immediately. I tell them, all right, I would definitely love to talk to you. When is a good time for you? I need you to be like with no distractions at all, because we're going to be talking about your business, not my business. And I want you to have your focus. And so when will be a great time for us? Then I get them down to a day and time. I never call people random. I don't just pick up the phone and call just because they want to talk to me. They're available right now. It just doesn't work that way, because if you're going to sell high ticket items, you have to give them the perception, or it's reality in my case, that I'm super busy. I need the appointments ahead of time, because I want to honestly do some research about them too, right? You don't want to jump on the call with someone that you have no idea about and try to sell them like a $20,000 package, because the decision they're making is not about a $500 per month or a $1,500 per month decision. You got to look at the decision as a $25,000 decision, because you want to retain that client for at least 6 months. So if you're going to sell a $20K package to someone, you better know a little bit about that company, and you better make sure that you have their attention. So the setting up part, framing the appointment is so important. And when they commit to a time, I say, great. So Tuesday, 2:30 works for me. What is your email? So I'm going to send you a calendar invite, and I'll just check with you to make sure that you confirm that. I send the invite. I follow up to make sure that they confirm. Then obviously I use an online calendar, so my calendar follows up with them with reminders. So the show up rate to the appointment is through the roof. Like usually when you just show up appointments tentatively, yeah, let's talk tomorrow, they'll probably forget. Like life happens. Like nothing is on the calendar. But when it's on the calendar and they're getting notifications, you're meeting with O's in 5 hours. Your meeting is starting in an hour. Your meeting is starting in 15 minutes. They're anticipating that. Anticipation is building up. When you're on that call, then you're one with them. And I always, when I jump on the call, I always tell them, all right, Nick, you told me yesterday that you wanted to have a conversation. We put it on the calendar. Is this still a good time? Are you in a place that you can have a conversation about your business? Because I'm going to be asking you some questions. If they say, I don't know, dude, I got to go in 15 minutes, I never do that strategy session, because that's not within the price range that if I'm selling a $50 product, do that pitch all day long, but I'm selling a high ticket item and I need their full attention for the next 45 minutes.
Definitely. I love the way you're structuring it, Oz, as far as you got to ask them questions to get to where you want to get to. The way I always envision it, the way I build it, is I look at it like a road. I have specific questions that I'll always open with, and, keep driving them down that map, find out what their customer value is. What are they currently doing? Each one gets it a little bit closer to, where I can ask for that sale. Like you said, ask for what hesitations do you have in moving forward? How does that sound? So I just always think of it as something like that, because each question set takes me a little bit further. And then you want to make sure that that we're listening, guys. Ball's made a great point. Everything that we're asking here, we're going to use to reframe later on if they have objections or if they say certain things. And we're going to use what they tell them to help us get to that yes, whether that's yes for a trial or an Oguz condition, a higher ticket item. And really, guys, the process really isn't that different. We should really be looking at, if we're setting up trials and things like that, you still want to make sure to take the time to get to know everything about them and drive them down this road, as like I see, so we can get them to come up and say yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So what else did I miss? Sorry for being late here. I had a client call, come up, and we just got a big client, and he had some questions. We're getting started to launch tomorrow, so apologize for being a little late. But what else did I miss there?
Not much. You just missed Oz's intro. Was talking a lot about kind of I rephrased the whole thing for you. But yeah, Oz, for after the strategy session and you're getting that closed, what is the turnaround time for you to get everything set up?
Great question. Depends on what we're doing for them. If we're kind of optimizing their website and adding a landing page and all that stuff, I always tell them, we need 3 weeks for us to finish everything, including the changes we make on your website, and also the Facebook ads, setting up the funnel, whatever we're doing. If it is without the website part, they got that taken care of, or we're just setting up the campaign in the form of lead ads, lead forms, then obviously you don't need a landing page. I asked them for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time. That's why I want to set the expectation, right expectation, and over deliver. We're usually done within a week. And I tell them, listen, we're done. So we're going to get started in 2 days. Let's jump on a call. I always do a kickoff call because you want to eliminate the miscommunication between your customers all the time, right? You'll be surprised that people who have a 45-minute strategy session with you, they sign up and 2 weeks go by, they forget 75% of why they sign up with you. We remember it because, we took on this client and we want to keep them, but you'll be super surprised. So when we finish with their funnel, I tell them, let's jump on a call. Is of course scheduled on our calendar. When we jump on, I remind them why they sign up with us and what we promised to do, and here's what we delivered. You never want to jump on and start showing them what you did because they don't really remember what you promised them originally. Yes, it is on the proposal. Yes, you maybe it was a Zoom conversation you recorded. However you structure it doesn't really matter. You have to remind them that you're keeping your promise. So build that rapport with them, even on the kickoff call, so they give you full control. The opposite of this, when you don't structure this properly, that's when you run into problems of needy clients because they don't remember what you promised and they want to check on you on day 2 of the campaign and question, Nick, what the hell is going on, buddy? No leads yet, right? I think we all have been through that painfully.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We have a mandatory required onboarding client training call now to review everything that we discussed, make sure they can handle the leads properly. I don't care whether a business is making $10, $20 million a year. I still need to make sure they can handle the leads properly. They understand everything that's going on because, again, this isn't their main focus. So like I said, a lot of times we're going to remember everything that was said, but that is now mandatory. We learned our lesson with that because people just came up and I got some great stories on that. But yes, that's a great idea to get in there and have that onboarding call and make it clear what you're doing for them, what you're going to do, set expectations for them up front, what they need to do, if they need to be on time with certain things, whether that's on website delivery and, getting things back and forth, make sure that they know the ball's in their court and they need to get you certain information. If it's with, setting a trial, I know we saw earlier in the group, there was issues with people getting, pictures and that type of stuff. That's why these calls are so important. And we really have to spam people in this world. And even if it might feel redundant, it's not going to feel redundant to them. Think about how many distractions we have in life and all that. So huge point right there. And it's something that's mandatory for all of our clients now.
Oh, that's a great point.
As you mentioned that you record the calls. I don't know if you mentioned, I think you told me you record your calls so that if there's ever any miscommunications, you can just send them what they actually agreed to. Is that something that you still do?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes the strategy sessions, let's say we're doing a short call, right? That will require me to do a lot of research when I have the login details to their website and whatnot. Then I want to have them on the call where I walk them through our process. Show them, do you see your landing page? You don't, so you don't have one. So we're going to build you one. So you're not on any of the directory sites right now, and there are more than 300 of them. So Google doesn't recognize you. And I literally search in front of them. Like I go to Google and search their company, and nothing comes up, or the information is mismatched and all that stuff. I talk about their Facebook campaign. I kind of share my screen. So, and I tell them that this is recorded. You're going to have a folder with all these recordings. And we do this for our bi-weekly meeting. So we have meetings bi-weekly, status meetings. So they have a folder. And believe me, I know that they don't go back and listen to it, but the fact that they know you're recording it eliminates a lot of the problems. So they know that they can't claim shit because it's been on recording. So that way you increase your retention and you don't deal with shady customers who wanted to charge back and they say, oh, you didn't tell me that, or we didn't get that result. Just cover your ass up front. And it's not for calling out your clients, because you want to build a long-term relationship with your clients, but also it shows them that you have a freaking system, like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, Oz, I want to make a point with that there. This is a great point. Record the calls you have with your clients. Yes, we want to believe everyone's extremely ethical and everyone is a great human being and they're all in this. But this way you can cover your ass. That is a huge deal. As you get bigger, as more and more clients come in, you're going to start interacting with more and more people. More and more claims are going to be made. Very important. I know there's call recording apps on your cell phone if you guys don't have, your own phone provider services, things like that. But that's a great point, because that can really protect you down the line. And chargebacks are a nightmare. Everything to avoid chargebacks, right?
Anything and everything, man. I know agencies or consultants, they require customers to do wire transfers because they're so afraid of taking credit cards. Like, you don't want to be that guy. It sounds so shady. Someone, you know what, I don't take credit cards, you got to wire me money. Like it's so bad. And the tool I use personally, so that could help some people, Zoom.us. Zoom is pretty cool. And unlike GoToMeeting and whatnot, their monthly fee is relatively cheap. I think it's like $19 per month. And when you're running multiple calls, you can save it, you can share with your clients. It's an amazing tool. And if you're doing this on the go on your cell phone, there are so many apps that you can record the phone calls. And also, since we're talking about sales strategy, record your phone call and listen to yourself. Like you catch yourself saying shit that you would never say. Again, if you were to catch yourself, right? We don't notice as we're running this and we're answering questions. But if you go back and go through your process, either you'll find out you don't really have a process, you're just winging it, or you notice certain patterns that when you ask these questions or when you say certain things, people open up to you more. So you want to do more of these questions and statements and less of the other ones that lead nowhere.
Yes, that is huge. I recorded my calls for years and had them. I haven't been recently because I've switched to my cell phone. I'm going to get back on that again. I know I've been talking about this to you guys. I'm going to share some recordings, things like that. But it's very uncomfortable. It's awkward to listen to yourself. But it is a great way for growth. Very good. And it's how you get better. You really want to analyze and really see what was good about that call, what was bad. I used to really dissect my calls where things went south too. And you can hear how you sound, you can hear your pace, you can hear, are you talking too quick? Do I sound nervous? Am I interrupting him? There's so many things that you can get from listening to yourself. It's kind of eye-opening, and yes, expect it to feel very uncomfortable at first.
And a quick story on mine. I mean, ever since I started listening to myself, I noticed that whenever I unknowingly get deeper into technical stuff, like about what we're going to be doing and how this works, to me and maybe to you guys, it sounds like basic, like Facebook ads. But to your clients, that might be over their head. It's way too technical, and people don't usually buy things they don't really understand, right? If they're not confident that they understand what's going to happen, then after listening to my calls, I noticed, oh man, you're talking way too much about the process, less about the results and why it matters to them. So by removing this, that increased my closing percentage.
Yes, guys, that is an amazing tip, something I really wanted to bring up tonight. Like, most of these guys, they don't care. They might try and give you a hard time about why Facebook or why you should do it and them. But at the end of the day, all they care about is the results. They care about spending more time with their family, taking care of their employees. So focusing heavily on that And especially O's in the SEO and website space, you'd be really, confused with talking to people about how that stuff works. But focus on the end result and let them talk about it too. Why do you want more patients? How many more patients do you want? What is your long-term goals for your practice? Do you want to open 10 practices? You want more time for yourself, and let them start envisioning and picturing their future, so that way you can put them in a future mindset frame, and then come back and sell them later. Well, hey, Dr. So-and-so, I thought you wanted to spend more time with your kids. Let me give you a shot. Let me do this, and reframing. So I think that's huge, not being too technical on this stuff.
Big time. And I mentioned like doing your research prior to the call, but that does not mean that you jump on the call and just vomit everything you know about their company. We still want them to tell you that stuff. You're doing the research more for yourself, and also letting them know. I slightly touch on it on the call. When we first start, I say, Dr. Nick, I did my research about you. I checked out your website. I usually find something to compliment, and because they don't want to feel like you're judging them. Because think about it, someone made a decision on that website that looks like shit. It was probably the owner himself. So you don't want to start the call saying, you know what, your decision-making process sucks. Now I'm looking at your website. It looks horrible. We got to fix it. That's definitely not the right way to go. And, I find something to compliment and make him feel like I've done my research, but I want them to tell me about how long they've been in practice and what kind of marketing they're actually doing. I might already know it on the back end. They're spending 10 grand a month on AdWords, but I want to hear from him, because sometimes you'd be surprised. He might not know how much he's actually spending. So when you find a lot of pain points, so you don't want to assume things, and have them tell you, and have them, because as they're telling you, they're thinking and they're feeling that pain of needing your services.
Absolutely. And to touch on that, as far as some of the research, this is not really a side tangent, but a little bit. One thing I always try and do, and one of my mentors an amazing salesperson taught me this. Whenever you can, find a way to talk about yourself in some sort of hobby, some sort of way, to see if you can build a connection with them. You want to find some way to connect with them outside of just, hey, we're going to make you a lot of money. For myself, I always talk about my experience in the sports world. I think we got Aaron Lewis on here. I worked with her in sports, but I always bring that up, because what if they're a big sports fan? If they are, I used to work in it, and they think it's so cool and it can go down. So if you're big in guitars, I don't know, just find certain ways to build a connection. That's, easier said than done, but you want to find some way to try and get them laughing when you start the call, or something to help build that connection. It makes it easier to move forward and break some of the ice when you get on the phone with someone new.
Yeah, because Nick, they know that they're going to be pitched something, right? Usually,
Yes.
And they've been told things before. Jumping on that call, they're not stupid. They know that you're going to try to sell something. And so the more you do on that end to bring their defense down, bring yourself in the same category as them, like, we're in this together, I'm trying to help you, then let me find gaps in your marketing so I can throw you a punch and pitch you something. Unless you do that turns into that's why we call it a strategy session, not a sales call. I never call it a sales call, because you want to bring someone to a place that they naturally want to work with you. Then you trying different closing techniques on them and whatnot.
Yeah. Awesome.
So let's talk about some of those closing techniques. Like, what do you see working for you on the higher ticket stuff?
I missed the first half of the question.
So let's talk about some of the closing techniques. Like, the whole process is kind of building up to that closing technique. So how, in the higher ticket stuff, and I know Nick's spoken about it, how do you go about getting that sale? Like, what do you say? Like, what are the verbiage?
So one thing I use a lot is I want to take the focus away from how much I'm charging versus what they're going to get out of this. And I want them to envision what would happen if they get one additional sales because of my services. So I want them to tell me, all right, so if I increase traffic to your website or to your funnel 10%, that means 100 more people. So based on your past experiences, if I bring you 100 people, how many of them will you turn into sales and revenue? They say, I don't know, they always exaggerate more than they can accomplish, but that's okay, it's their game. So 20 people. I'm like, awesome. So what does that mean to you as far as revenue? We talk about the lifetime value of a customer. And one morning, many business owners, they don't know what that means. Like, we always repeat it, lifetime value of a customer, but you have to break it down for them. because you ask them once and they say one customer is, it actually happened to me today with one of the strategy sessions that I had. I asked him that question is like $1,500. I'm like, all right, so what does that mean? Let's break it down. He said, well, we're charging $125 a month. There's a 1-year contract. So that's, $1,500. I'm like, all right, how long do they usually stay with you? The average customer. He said average customer stays for 2.5 years. Then guess what? It's not $1,500 then. It's more than $3,000 per customer because that's how long they stay with you, right? Then I have them imagine if you're closing 20 of them times 3,500, multiply that. I think it's what, 7,000, 70,000 or something like that. So if we make this work for you, you'll be adding $70,000 per month or per quarter to your top line. Would that be right? You want to confirm with that. That's so they understand the math. Yes. All right. So I feel like based on our conversation and based on our past experiences, I can make that happen for you. Our fees are very minimal, but based on the results we're going to be getting, we're going to charge you X amount and we can get this going and you can potentially have that revenue come in within X amount of time. Not promising the revenue, but sell the results a little bit, talk about their results. Not because I see a lot of consultants talk about justifying why they're charging that much, and it is telling more about their mindset and than the other person's capability of paying you. So focus on what they would be getting if they sign up with you right away, and always put some kind of incentive to get the decision right away. Because further they go away from the strategy session, value you built, your value is right here, your price should be right here. So they look at the value you're getting, the price they're paying, but more and more days go by, the value drops because we're human beings and we forget a lot of stuff. And a week from now, your price is right here and they forget the value you built. They look at it as a decision of, do I want to pay this guy $1,500 a month? If I pay him for 4 months, geez, that's $6,000. What if it doesn't work? I don't know, let me delay this decision. You want to avoid that. If possible, you want to get the credit card information on the phone, if not the next day. And this goes back to doing your preparation ahead of time. I usually ask the question, so we're going to talk about your business. Who else needs to be on this call? If they're just the manager in the store, I don't want to talk to this person because the only thing they're going to take away from my meeting is the price to their boss. And the boss is not going to judge my services because I'm sure there is someone in India or other countries you can do, Facebook ads for $200. Like you don't want to be compared against just on the price. So when it comes to closing, you want to prep them for that. You want to keep reminding them why they jumped on the call so far and what that revenue means, because you got to understand there are different personality types. Some people care about the dollar figure. They're more numbers oriented. Some people connect with the revenue more on an emotional level. I think Nick just said it could mean an additional vacation they can offer their family. It could mean a vacation home they can buy, or it could mean taking 2 days off from work they can play golf. So you got to find out what moves them and keep reminding that and tell them if they make the decision right now, they can reach that end goal as soon as possible. So I use that a lot of that psychology on the closing.
Yes, the amazing tips, man. We really got to find what drives them. Everyone is a little bit different. Not everyone just needs $1 billion and all that. And then you really want to be able to utilize that later on. And one thing I want to bring up there is because you just reminded me of a great point, especially this before you've really had much of a conversation. The people who are like, how much does it cost? And maybe we'll talk. You're going to get that a lot. What are your pricing? All this. You never want to go into pricing until you can get a chance to explain yourself. And if they won't listen to you, then they're dicks anyways, and you should just move on, Like you want to say, oh, well, that totally depends. I need to learn more about your company. Talk about how you customize everything for people. Even if you have like a standard rate or a flat rate, never just give the price out. Say, we customize everything. I'd love to learn more about your goals. What are you looking to do? Then I can share with you what's worked for some of our other clients. That's an objection that you get a lot from cold emails. How much is the price? And we don't, it's just get them on the phone, get them on the phone. That's my answer to everything. Just get them on the damn phone.
That's something interesting, Oz, about who else needs to be involved in this decision, right? Or who else needs to talk about your business? Who else needs to be a part of this conversation? Because I've had it where I speak to the fucking dumbass manager, and shit never ever happens because they, like you said, they only bring back the price of the owner, and you never get that conversation going. And I've made the mistake of jumping on calls recently with people that I find out after that, oh, they have a partner, they have a husband, they have a wife or whatever that they need to talk to. So how do you go about framing that prior, even if it's, I know you schedule everything out, so I guess that's involved in that process, but how do you go about kind of making sure that doesn't happen? You just simply say, hey, who else needs to be on here, or is there more to that?
Yeah, so great question. It depends on how we get that appointment. So if they find me based on the articles I publish or my videos and whatnot, I already have an authority in their eyes because they see me as an expert. They reached out to me. Then I can ask whatever the hell I want to schedule that meeting. Then I can just, in the form of a reply to them, if it is a LinkedIn message, I tell them, listen, we're going to be talking about your business. I want to make sure that everyone who is involved in the decision-making process of your marketing, because they're clearly stating that I need help with marketing. Can I talk to you? Right? They come to you. Then I'm empowered to ask anyone who's involved in that decision to be in that meeting. That's easy. The more difficult part is if I'm doing a cold email campaign and the dude says, let's jump on a call at 2 p.m. Then how do you tell them, all right, yeah, I emailed you, but I need everyone on the call. Like it almost doesn't make sense and they're not going to comply with that request. Then what I do is I tell them, all right, let's jump on a quick 5-minute phone call. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Then we can schedule our formal meeting where I'm going to break down what we can do specifically for your website. When is a good time? So I want to literally, it is not more than a 10-minute conversation. I want to qualify them, right? And I want to show them my authority. We jump on the phone and tell them, listen, thanks for responding to my email. I did reach out to you because I believe we can help you. And I'm definitely looking forward to setting up a meeting, but I want to make sure that your company really benefits from this because at the end of the meeting we're going to be setting up, you don't have to buy anything from you. I'm going to create a strategy for you that you can take away and start using either by having your internal staff do it, or maybe you already have a marketing company do it. You'll walk away with a strategy. For that reason, I want to make sure that you benefit from this because I'm going to spend 45 minutes to an hour of my time to help you out with your business. So who would be the people who would make a decision on this if at the end of our call, they decide that we do the work? They say, well, I'm just the VP. I handle the marketing part of that, but that decision comes from the CEO. I'm like, awesome. I jot down the name of the CEO. I'm like, so does CEO consult with anyone, or does he have a partner, or does the ownership need to be involved? They're like, yeah, maybe Nick should be involved too. I'm like, great. What is Nick's name and email? So I'm collecting information from them, and I'm like, so would you help me out? Would it be possible for you to find out if next Tuesday at 2 p.m. is fine for everyone? Then I put the calendar invite together and try to have everyone on the call. Does it work all the time? No. Sometimes we got to do those calls where you talk to the manager. This is a sales process, right? No one closes in 100%. You still go through your cycle, but at least having a process like that to qualify them further eliminates a lot of those bullshit conversations. When you're talking to someone, they want to get to the bottom of it and they want to get the pricing. Like yesterday, I had a strategy session. Someone reached out to me through LinkedIn. And the guy was like, dude, I know you're trying to ask me questions and you're going to pitch me at the end and all that stuff. Let's get to the bottom of it. What's your price? He was just like that. I said, all right, let's get to the bottom of it. What is your intention? Why did you reach out to me? Are you really interested in doing some kind of marketing, or you saw us online and you wanted to find out how we do it? Like, if I give you a price and if you love it, will you get started? It was like, no, not really. We're planning our marketing for the next quarter. So I want to talk to a couple of people in the industry and gather our pricing. I'm like, awesome. Let's do this. Let's talk when you're getting closer to that time where you have the budget and all that. Then we can break it down because I don't really do phone calls for 10 minutes. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your company. I want to give you a complete strategy. But if you're not in a position to make a decision on that one, let's talk later. So I cut it off. So there are different ways to handle it. There's no perfect way to do it, but at least having a structure helps out quite a bit.
Wow, that was gold, man.
Oh, thanks.
that was brilliant right there. I love it. I'm gonna utilize that next time I get something like that comes up. Just get to the bottom line, price. Redirect and give them a different question. I love that.
Yeah, don't let them put you in a corner. Ask their intention because they want to know the price, right? Instead of talking about price, I take it away from it and say, what is your intention? Like, what you reached out to me, but what are we going to talk about? Like, I know I jumped on a call with you. What's going on? And they don't expect that.
Yeah, and you start to take control of the conversation at that point. By the way, anyone watching, an amazing sales book is called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. That reminds me of something that you know that one, Oz?
dude. Yes.
The best. That sounds like something he would say, bro. That's what it came, or that's what I thought of right there with the crocodile brain and everything. Great book. It's currently my favorite all-time sales book. I've read so many of them. I'm a huge reader, but that one is not just, about, there's no secret closing technique, word mumbo jumbo. It's all about how you communicate with the person and really control the frame and control the conversation. Because that's what we need to do here. We need to be in control. We need to lead them down, that roadmap that I mentioned before, and make sure that we're the ones driving.
Absolutely. Having the control of the meeting is everything. Like bar none. If you're not leading the meeting, you're not in control. Then they make the decisions. You're the ones deciding when you want to end the meeting. Because if you feel like someone is distracted, or you're hearing their keyboard, or you're hearing they're talking on the phone, I call them out on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Nick, are you still? I'm hearing your phone. I just want to make sure that we're still on the same page. Then they feel like shit, and then you bring them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I had a guy not too long ago who was telling me he wanted me to rerun another trial, and I basically said no. And I said, we're not a good fit, man. And then I said it again. He's like, well, I think any reasonable. I'm like, dude, we can go down the street and quadruple what you're willing to give me here. And he's like, and then he's like, but then he started coming at me again. I said, dude, we're not a good fit. If you want it or not. And then he's like, okay, I'm good. Send me the DocuSign, gave me a credit card. And then we're gonna put up with it. Once you start to gain that confidence, it can be really nerve-wracking at first to call somebody out on something, especially if you started, so I get that. But once you start to do it, and if you do it in a way that's not like overtly offensive or rude or telling that, that's the key. You can't just be a total dick. You just want to make sure that, it's pitch anything explains it beautifully as well.
Yeah, the goal is not to be cocky, right? But right balance. But at the same time, have them notice that you are in control and you're taking this very seriously.
Your time is valuable. You're the expert. You're the expert. That's it. Cool. So Oz, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but we got a question here. How are you prospecting for some of these higher value clients? Did you guys already go over that?
Didn't talk any prospecting yet. So
didn't talk any prospecting. Yeah, I would love to hear a bit more about it as well too. Sometimes we get so caught up, cold emailing, that's it, or there's only one way to do things or close sales in this industry. That's why I love hearing this different perspective from Oz. He does things a little differently, but it's so valuable. And, we all want to get to the higher ticket guys. I mean, they're easier to deal with. They spend more money. They're probably less time at the end of the day. And they're not, just living and breathing and dying by a $2,000 monthly budget like some of these guys are that I know that we're getting in front of the target.
Yeah, what we do, that cold emailing works, right? You got to have multiple channels feeding your funnel. There's no one silver bullet that takes care of everything. We do many things, but the thing that seems to help us close more deals at a higher level with high ticket seems to be utilizing LinkedIn. And we follow a specific process that requires a little more work up front, but on the back end, you get the benefit of that. Instead of talking to 20 people, you talk to maybe 5 people, but you close 2 of them. What I do is building authority and providing value up front. The concept of reciprocity, right? We all heard about it. Just giving someone massive value up front, then so they feel bad that they haven't talked to you, or they feel like they have to consult your expertise. So on LinkedIn, the way I do this, we create a high value article specific to our industry. We're in different verticals and we have different LinkedIn profiles for my employees and myself. And we publish that article on LinkedIn. Now, just like Facebook, it doesn't reach everyone, right? I have, I think, more than 3,000 people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. It only reaches to a couple of hundred people. Not a big deal. But what we do next is the important. We take that article, the link, we send it as a private message to my connections within that industry. We tell them, Nick, I created this, I wrote this article about how to generate leads for your law firm, and I thought you would benefit from this. I'm sharing specific strategies. Here's the link to my LinkedIn article. And no pitch, nothing, just that. We send it over from my vertical. I have about 600 people on my LinkedIn. Every day we look for more people and connect with them. Once they're connected, that's what I send over to them. Then a day later, I check on them. Hey, just want to check with you if any of the strategies resonated with you, with what you're doing. And usually, it's the funny thing is we haven't made any pitch. The response is usually, yeah, let's talk. When is a good time?
Wow. So simple, but so brilliant.
So simple, very straightforward. And you know, you don't do 10 follow-ups just to remind them, a little nudge. have you checked it out? When they click on it, they see that I published 10 other articles and I have videos, and I'm sure they kind of look you up, your company and all that stuff. That's why creating content, and I don't want many people to be discouraged, because you might create a YouTube video and you see 10 people watch it. You're like, what the hell is going on? No one is finding me. You got to create that traffic, right? You got to send it to people, and it builds authority slowly. That's why I said it's a slower process. But how long would it take for you to hire someone and pay them $20 to have them write an article specific to your industry? You kind of fix it up with your own expertise and post it. Believe me, like 10% of what you know is still, more than what your industry knows. Like 90% of the potential clients, you still know more about them, about the product and services, and it builds your authority. So when I jump on the phone with those people, they already have like a base level respect for me. They don't see me as a salesperson. They see me as somewhat of an authority because I publish shit. Like I publish something. Like it makes a difference. So that's generating a lot of leads for us right now, and we're always figuring out different ways of just testing it. But my approach, for example, since that's working, I hire someone who's creating 25 articles in my industry for the next week or so, and we're going to be kind of releasing it every 2 days, like being in front of our audience almost daily. So by the time they get a chance to check out one of them, they see this massive content. And when I jump on the phone with them, they can't really compare me to some other person who's doing this for $500. It's a lot easier for me to tell them, listen, I know my shit, and you either work with the best or you don't work with me at all.
Yeah, so is this you're doing this all organically too? No email, no ads?
Nothing, all organic.
It's all organic. Wow. So you're just adding, so I want to make sure we got this right. So you're adding connections in your niche, people, your target, prospect that you're going after, and you're making sure that you're posting content for them, and then you're also private messaging the blogs, and then if they come back and look at you, they can see, your profile, what you've done, a lot of the other things you've written. And then you just simply check up on them, and then they're like, it's brilliant, man. I think I might get that rolling in the next couple of weeks. I got 3 salespeople started for me on Monday. So might test something like that with one of them here. We've got a content writer. We can get to put stuff together. And guys, you made a great point. You don't have to write 25 articles yourselves.
Oh, no,
really, go outsource that stuff. Yeah, I do too. I never would.
You wrote some books too, right?
I did write 2 books, but I didn't actually write them. So I spoke them, and I had someone transcribe it for me, and I gave it to an editor, and they edited it, and it became a book. So I'm not going to sit down and write a 150-page book. Like, that's not going to happen. But I published 2 of them with that same approach.
That's awesome.
Like, our conversation here would be a book, right? If someone were to record this and hire someone to transcribe it, it would be probably this. And, you can get it published. It gives you some authority. And believe me, royalties are nice, getting paid on the books.
Yeah. Awesome. Eddie, what's up, man?
What's up, dude? How's it going?
Good, bro. Good to see you. How you been?
Likewise, better, dude. I've been kicking ass and taking names and sending cold emails.
Nice, man. Well, welcome to the call.
I asked Eddie to come on today. We're gonna get back to Oz here in a little bit, because there's a lot more shit we gotta penetrate from him while we have him. But so I asked Eddie to come on because he did something unique. I was talking about earlier that he closed a deal with a customer with a trial that didn't convert any of the fucking leads. So going back to what most of the audience is kind of doing, they're doing the trials and then hopefully trying to get that money. What happens if the client doesn't convert the lead, right? Then they're not going to want to continue. And we've had that happen. They may not convert, they disappear, whatever. They fall off the face of the earth after we run a trial for them. So Eddie was like, yeah, so I got this guy to sign up or this girl to sign up, and she didn't even convert any of the leads. So Eddie, why don't you tell us a little bit about how that looked and what happened there?
Okay, so for the entire week, I had, for that week, it had been 42 leads total, and she got 11 appointments, but she couldn't convert a single one, which we then understood why at the end of the trial. But basically, how I got her as a client, I sent her a Snapchat of me. No, I'm kidding. No, I was honestly just checking up every 2 days, dude, just to see how she was, how the office was going, how her staff was doing. And I for once, I didn't really operate with logic. I operated with, this is gonna sound corny as fuck, but emotion. Like I actually showed that I gave a fuck about her and her business and what we were doing. So we were constantly going back and forth during the entire week. And by the end of it, I gave her the entire list of leads, but I was giving her, the daily leads that would come in. But I gave her the entire list, and I said, hey, here, give it to your staff to see what else they can do with it. And obviously some of her staff couldn't close anybody. And I'm like, well, could you let me know what's going on the phone? What the calls look like when they're picking up? She's like, I honestly couldn't tell you because I'm not in the office when they're taking those calls sometimes, but usually they'll just try and go ahead and schedule the appointment. I'm like, okay. So at the end of the trial, I'm like, okay, we got 42 freaking leads. You got 11 appointments, which is still good, but we didn't convert any sales, correct? And she's like, no. But I told her, I'll tell you what, let's run a different offer that's not that much of a jump from a $37 laser lipo to a $2,800 total package. Let's try to think. Let's find another service that we can use that's more like from 37 to maybe a couple $100 or $100 per the next thing. So it makes more sense and it's not that big of a scare. So she said, okay, deal. And I told her, I'll tell you what, let's work together for the month, and I'll add something else for you, on top of the Facebook and Instagram ads. To increase our conversions, and I can guarantee you that this will increase our conversions, is I'll personally write down a sales script because I've been in sales for 3.5 years, like direct sales for 3.5 years and being on the phone and everything, and I understand sales psychology. So I'll write out a simple script for your staff to go ahead and follow so they can convert the leads a lot better. Does that sound fair? She said, wow, yes, obviously. And I told her, okay, great. So let's do this different offer. You know that I can do my part. I gave you 42 leads in 7 days, like, hello. So I'll go ahead and add that for you, and we'll do it for the month. I mean, we're bound to close somebody on some big package for 4 freaking weeks. So yeah, she paid me for the month, and yeah, but it was a process of just caring. Like I was asking her how her day was, how the kiddos were, and stuff like that. I wasn't like, hey, how's business? How are we doing? Yeah. I was like, how's your life? You're a person, you're a human being.
That's just extra value, man. Scripting. We script out stuff for our people. We do onboarding presentations, as you know, and I mean, we know very, very, very all too well. The front desk is the problem 99% of the time. Literally, it's the problem 99% of the time. It's that bad. And so we have specific scripts they need to follow. We do the call tracking so we can keep up with them. I mean, those are huge value adds. Especially if, he or she doesn't know that the front desk is screwing up, because if they're screwing up our stuff, they're screwing up everything, right? Yeah. And so they need to learn how to set this stuff. So that's a massive value add, bro. Nice work. Good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's essentially just a process, like I said, caring, adding value, and yeah, just closing the sale.
So actually on that, this is how we structured the trial a little bit, because we've closed like 90% of the trials we ran. I lost one guy. I still don't know why I lost him, but or actually no, we lost a couple guys. But what I do now is when we set it up, we let them know, hey, we're just going to generate you the leads. Once we get you on board, then we're going to get the online scheduling, the scripting, the email follow-up. We're going to dial these things in. Because if they're living and dying, and if they're only going to sign up with you if they close the lead, one, that means they already made their money back month one for the most part, if they're getting a $3,000 value for most people are charging, right? So I really position it like that. Like, hey, we just want to make sure that they work in your market. Part of what we sell and we do is actually training. We work with consultants. We work with clinics all across the country. So we know what works and how to schedule that front desk and sell as a value add. So I'm very specific now in the pre-trial, when I'm setting up the trial, that don't live and die by these, because I don't want to live and die by variance on the leads, because you could go through a bad batch. It happens, not every lead's perfect. But I think setting that up on the pre-trial call makes it a lot easier for the closing if they do give you any, pushback about how bad the leads were or whatever. And you basically did that in a sense. Hey, I'm going to give you a script. We're going to build it. We're going to get better. Let's close some business.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Oz, we had a question for you. Any industry-specific source you recommend for good writers?
That what? Me?
Oh, it's for Oz. Oh, before it disappeared.
Oh, me? Okay.
Is there any specific source you recommend for good writers?
I use Upwork.com. It's like a freelance site. There are a lot of talented people. It's all about how you create your post. So you qualify them. I look for people. I always ask for examples of work. If people claim shit and they haven't done before, so I ask them to send me what they wrote before. The grammar is right, and they can do research, because since we're dealing with like specific industries, that requires research. So these people should be good at doing research, and don't just take whatever they created and post it online. You got to do your own touch, because that person is not going to know about marketing as much as you do. I just have them do the groundwork and just, creating an article. And I always add a paragraph or so and add, some content and maybe some results, then post it that way. But my part is only 10% and their part is like 90%. I usually hire them for like $40 or so for a 800-word article. So it's not super expensive. And when you have a couple of them scheduled, like you post them regularly, it builds your authority and gives you something to talk about.
Well, another question for you. Are you familiar with LinMail Pro?
No, LinMail Pro. No, I'm not.
That might be a typo, but okay. Whatever. Jim, if you want to rephrase that, then if it was a typo, then go ahead. If not, then he's not familiar with it.
If it is related to cold email, we're using Mailshake. I think many people know that. Mailshake.
I think it was around the time we were talking about LinkedIn, so I don't know if it has something to do with InMail, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I know you mentioned you're doing a lot of this organically. Have you tested? Are you trying any type of InMail spam? I guess I mean, it's not necessarily spam, but InMail stuff or promotion on LinkedIn from the paid side of things.
We've tried it many times. We couldn't make it work. Like we've tested it. We tried. It is relatively new in-mail messaging, not just putting content in front of them, but sending messages to people in a specific industry. At least for the industries that we targeted, we had a lot of people read it, but we didn't get any response from it. And I would post the same content to my connections, and they would respond. So I couldn't make sense out of that. It's just, I don't know how InMail is structuring them, but although we spend a couple of $100s on trying different things, we just couldn't make it work, and organic seems to be working the best so far.
Cool. Okay. Hey, Eddie.
Yeah.
My man. So you said you're sending a ton of emails. I see you've been hustling, doing some good stuff, man. Talk to us about some successes, some email strategies, tactics, things that have been working for you here recently, man. It's all about sales, so I'd love to hear some of that.
The biggest mistake that I was making personally that was making me look like a fucking amateur was requesting the fucking trials. Like, hey, let me try. Like, no, fucker, you've done it before. If you have results, especially, everybody's still doing trials. Expert positioning is key. Yes. What I do now, I say, hey, I've done this shit. Here's how it can help you. If you're interested, book a fucking call. That's it. And it's that simple. You have to position yourself as an expert. And now what I do is, instead of having to do a video showing the back end of what we do, which is essentially, your sort of pitch, I get on the call and I walk them through the entire process, because they're already interested. Once they see it, they've never seen anything like that before, because they're not in the fucking community that we're in. So this is all foreign. And once they see that, they're like, what the fuck? It's an entire process. How did you learn this? And I'm like, oh, I invented it. Bullshit, obviously. That you have to look like. So like, give me that. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what. Just to make sure, and just so you feel confident in me, I'll go ahead and do like a 3-day fucking trial. But after the 3 days, if you generate leads, then we'll go ahead and get this going. So, or
awesome.
3 or 2 days.
I think you made a great point about the positioning. We're all very familiar, with the curious student and some of that stuff. And while, again, it could be effective, I would never have done that in a million years, because it's going to bring in the wrong type of people, too. Exactly. A serious business with a serious marketing budget is never going to be like, oh, let me test this guy out who's never ran ads before or anything. So I've never been a fan of it. So I love that you've switched that up. I think we might have talked about it, too. But yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Love hearing that, because positioning is huge. That's what Oguz is doing on LinkedIn. He's positioning himself as an expert, and he's able to get high-ticket conversations. You really want to come across as that, not as someone who is just trying or learning or anything like that, And if you are just getting started, this is something I think is big too. Leverage all of us. Leverage our case studies. Don't lie and be like, yeah, I did all this, but say, hey, we've seen this. Leverage what we've seen out there in the market. I actually bring this up a lot with prospective clients and with clients. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I work with, just like you guys have your network of doctors that you all hang out with, I've got a big network of other Facebook guys. So we build for the long term. We test and try so many different things. We'll bring you the best ideas. We'll bring you what's working in other states, and we work together on this stuff. So as we move forward, we're going to keep bringing new ideas and changing things up.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with Oz is knowing more about your product than anybody else, dude. Knowing more about your service, and that's key, because they can throw curveballs at you sometimes, like these. Because I got on a call with a chiropractor who's using Infusionsoft for like a year, and he's like, "What? Give me what's the difference?" I was like, "Whoa, okay, this guy was already trying this." I'm like, "I'll tell you what. Well, no matter what platform you're on, if you suck at getting traffic there, then there's no point in having it." So I swapped the conversation with the ads, and I carried him on this sort of line, and he's like, "Give me what you're selling," and I'm like, "Okay, there we go." So,
Nice.
yeah. But you have to know a lot about what you're doing, man, and every single piece of the process. It can't just be I know more about Facebook ads than funnels, I know more about, email autoresponders than fucking anything else, over here. Because you have to be able to sell a whole freaking, marketing package, dude. And once you realize that, holy shit, this is a package. It consists of components. It can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, potentially, 10 even.
Yeah.
Another thing to add on to that is, it's not so much important in the smaller niches like gyms, chiropractic, stuff like that. But maybe in some of those chiropractic niches. But like right now, like I was talking about earlier, I'm going to go into another niche that I had no idea about. Nobody's marketing in that niche. Nick knows the niche. So, but that niche is like everything out there. I don't know anything about it. There's nobody marketing for it on Facebook, anything like that. So I need to learn more about the industry itself, like the jargon, the customer avatar, like kind of do the real due diligence on who is the ideal client for this potential customer of mine, right? So, or who's the ideal client for my client. So you need to learn more about, as you're getting, and Oz might be able to test this when he's doing some of the higher ticket niches, is you need to know the ins and outs of their operations, their business, their marketing, their strategy, their customer, so that you can have that educated conversation with them. Because if you just come in as a person that says, oh, I have this process and I just drive traffic to this, and you have a whole bunch of shit in there, you don't know what the fuck it means, it's not going to work as well as if you're educated in that process. Is that right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it means a lot to talk about things outside of the business, like Nick mentioned before, not just their family, but if anything you can show to them that you understand their industry, because you're claiming that you're an expert in running ads for a chiropractor. So it would be nice to mention things. Maybe there's a huge event, like I don't know, trade show or something like that. You can open the conversation with that. Hey, Balls, are you going to this event? I know many chiropractors make a big deal about this. What is your experience? Have you gotten, learned anything, or do you value that? It could be the event. Like if you're like on top of what's been going on in their world, like put yourself in their shoes, like their daily operations. What do they worry about a lot? It could be like a major lawsuit, affecting the industry, and you knowing about it builds your credibility too. You don't always need a lot of stuff backing you up. It could be just little things that you mention on the call that can just build that reputation, and they can just assume that you're definitely an expert and you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I can't stress how important that really is, that really knowing. And the deeper you get into a niche, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to hear terminology. But knowing the difference with like the different types of postures or biocorrective therapies, and just start spouting stuff. Spinal deep. Oh, do you have a DRX 9000 spinal depression? Knowing the different types of tables he's got. Oh, is that a class 4 laser therapy? Knowing that stuff really shows that you do know. I'm not saying you have to be, you can't have conversations without it, but listen, learn, ask questions, study, research, and drop those things when you're on the call. I mean, within 5 minutes of the call, I'm with the prospect, like they know right away that I know what I'm talking about because I can tell them about the insurances, the case values. I can freaking tell them how the damn fucking procedures and everything are done. Like, I mean, it's really important to really become an expert. And also I mean, we believe in staying pretty niche down. Find like 4 niches and stick with that. I mean, I'm not saying turn away other business, but go hard after niches. You know, go and learn as much as you can about it because that'll help you become the authority, like you're talking about on LinkedIn. I was like,
Yeah, and one example, Nick, that from like a totally different experience that I had. My background is in like door-to-door sales. Before I owned the company, I was just pulling doors and selling dental products for a shitty company. It was so tiny. I was the only employee, and the owner didn't want to sell. He didn't have any sales background. Nothing wrong with being small, but he had expectations that didn't match what would happen. So you got to come up with creative ways where you don't have a brand name product backing you up. So I would walk into dentist offices, and they're used to seeing guys in shiny suits, like $5,000 suits, and a fancy car. I didn't have any of that shit, and I'm looking for a way to break their pattern so they don't kick me. When you talk about like the product you're selling immediately, they're just so used to that pattern. They have developed a response mechanism to get you out, especially dealing with gatekeepers. So what happened one day is I got kicked out of one of the offices, and I noticed that there's a salesperson walking in selling something fancy. I said, dude, what do you sell? And he said, well, I'm selling this, panoramic machines for dentists where they can take x-rays of your entire mouth, like an $80,000 product and all that stuff. I said, all right, so how many dentists actually has that? Well, he says in this area, more than 80% of them have it. I'm like, cool. So what is like the main problem that you have with this product that people always talk about, complain about? He says, well, the head that spins, it gets stuck and all that stuff. So I know, like, totally irrelevant, but that information opened so many doors for me to get more sales. You might be wondering how that's possible. I would walk in and you see the machine on the corner, right? You introduce yourself. I'm like, oh, that's panoramic, whatever the shit name machine is. Like, I heard that breaks quite often. Are you guys experiencing the same thing? You get a chuckle out of them. They're like, yeah, dude, like that thing is horrible. We keep bringing technician back and forth. Now I broke their pattern. Like, they don't know what the hell to tell me to get me out. Then I kind of transition into that. I know that's like an extreme example, but when you don't have, like, when you got to make money to eat, you come up with crazy stuff. And when you were prospecting, we got to get creative like this. I know following a system is great, but sometimes you got to get creative in order to get the results that other people are not getting. So that's one way of doing that, knowing your industry, knowing the problems they're going through, like random shit like that they're not prepared to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. Always, dude, that's what I always bring up first. I dig, and then I patch up the pain with my product,
Nice.
And I basically, they're sort of patching up a wound with, telling themselves, oh, it's okay, it's fine, I'm fine where I am. But then I'm the one to rip off the Band-Aid and say, hey, fucker, you haven't fixed that problem. Here's how we're going to fix it with my fucking product. And here's why, and I'll even dig back. I'll be like, here's why the problem started in the first place. Let's talk about this, okay? And so, essentially sales cures all, which if you can bring more sales in, then they're happy. I used to do that in when I was selling direct TV for about a year and a half. I used to always say, I'd talk to the husband first, and he'd say, oh, they'd always try to give me the excuse about, oh, my wife this, my wife that. But I'd bring up like, hey, well, when you and your wife are getting in an argument and she wants to fucking watch Oxygen and you have to go to the room where you don't have a fucking another box because Time Warner's fucking you in the ass and you can't afford it, what do? You're like, oh my God, I can't. And then you have to go out with your buddies, and then she's going to yell at you for going out with your buddies because you have no other form of entertainment, correct? And he's like, man, dude, yeah, dude, like, well, this solves that problem because now when she's fucking mad at you, she can watch Oxygen, you can watch fucking NFL, whatever the fuck over here, and you don't have to leave home. And then after that, problem solved. You don't have another night of getting your ass chewed out, and there's your problem. Does that solve your problem? Does that make sense? Do you think your wife will like that? Oh, man, you know what? Yeah, just give me the thing. I'm like, okay, cool, exactly. And you just
fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
You gotta be really, really straightforward with these people. You can't be like, oh, sir, it's gonna do that. No, show them, hey, it's gonna do that, but here's how.
Yeah. Can you guys hear that confidence from Eddie coming through the screen right now? Like, I mean, that's insane. Like, I want to buy that shit. Get excited. We are selling these guys a different life. What we do is just so incredible. There you go. Oh, Tom Hopkins is the man, bro. Good shit. All selling is a transference of energy. You know, you talk with enough excitement, confidence, you can get it through. But we really should be extremely confident. This is not an expense to these people. It needs to be an investment. They're going to make money from it. And we need to talk about it like we're confident. Confident, you know, chest up, you know, and just say your price. Don't, you know, get all worried about it. Don't be afraid to talk about what you charge, you know, that type of stuff. It's so, so important.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Good shit. All right. Oh, they asked, do you post on your blog or Facebook? I think I was talking about when Oz was talking about the articles. I think that's all LinkedIn, right, Oz?
All LinkedIn, yeah.
Okay. And do we have any more questions here? No, not really. So yeah. So, what's the next topic? Are we still going on? What's next, Nick?
I gotta get moving here in a little bit if there's not too many more questions here. But thanks for coming on, guys. Oz, Eddie, I mean, this has been awesome. Unless you guys have any last minute questions for us, we'll be coming back with something new next week, and we'll be back tomorrow. Open Hangouts tomorrow, right, Paul's?
Yeah, tomorrow I have to head out for a meeting sometime in the afternoon. So probably
You work online, dude. You don't have to go anywhere.
I still have other businesses, bro.
Yeah.
So I gotta head out for that. So I should be back hopefully around 7 Eastern. But if anything, I think we're just gonna jump on an open hangout. Maybe let's just shoot for 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
7:30. We'll just jump on. We should be able to have a limit of 25 people. Google Hangouts is fine for that, I think. If not, maybe I think if people download Blue Jeans, if you want to jump on the call, download Blue Jeans. Maybe we'll just do it off here.
Cool.
We'll try it out. We haven't done an open hangout on here. But yeah, good shit. Oz definitely brought the
Good.
brought the good.
Bro, I'm gonna get out there and start building up my LinkedIn. That was brilliant, man. We gotta remember, guys, there's more ways to prospect. We gotta get creative. They were just talking about creative responses on the phone. When you guys are in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs, we have to think creative and solve problems. Yes, it's good to model after people, but add your own tweaks, try new things, see what works. You know, you've got to be creative out there. And that LinkedIn nugget was beautiful.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, I want to hear some stories of success from people if they utilize it, or if they have any questions. Maybe I left out some spot. Just don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Yeah, guys.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, guys, any success story, start dropping them in here, and let's just have some excitement going, and keep each other pumped up and motivated. Or shit, if you have a shitty call, just drop it in here, and we can laugh about it, right? I mean, that happens. You've got to laugh about it and move on. We're here for each other. We want to, continue to grow our businesses, get better. Let's just share some of that stuff. I think a good idea might be to do some, website review and campaign review balls. I know we saw one in there earlier. I haven't had a chance to take a look at that, but I think we might do something like that in the next week or two. Just jump on and talk about how we like to structure landing pages, what the highest conversion, rate, or what's the best way to get the best conversions, and go over some of that stuff as well.
We just got another question. So,
okay.
Ronald asked, do you ever leverage the email list the client received during the strategy call? How do you do it? The email list the clients received during the strategy call. So I don't know if you mean strategy call particularly, or
or when you're closing for to begin, your service.
Well, I guess if he comes in and types more, but I'm taking away from that the email list they get from the actual campaigns, maybe, or maybe prior business. So if they have, so for me, I have lists from my clients, past businesses, past customer lists, and I'll run campaigns to lookalike audiences of that. And then subsequently the same thing for the actual leads you get, right? So that's how I leverage it. I don't know if you guys do something different.
Well, I mean, it's kind of usually I stopped because my clients don't give a fuck about their list. They care about new business most of the time. But I say it's
a whole problem in itself, Eddie.
That's a whole other.
That's a whole other call. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and so Well, yeah. So he's like, oh, I've done like, oh, so, and you're also going to get a list at the end of this so that you can potentially remarket to any other new offers that people may not have came in for this one, but in the next week if we blast out an email to them, they may come in for this one. You may have a new customer there. Like, but what about the new business? And I'd rather keep like. Just because somebody didn't buy the chocolate fucking fudge blizzard does not mean that they're not going to buy the Reese's blizzard, you fuckhead. Like, pay it. Like, think about it. Like,
the easiest person to sell to is somebody who's already given you a credit card. I mean, that's just by far. And having Russell Brunson, what does he teach? Upsell, 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 upsell.
yes.
That asshole got me in his funnel and spent like 20 grand on it, off of one damn book. That's why he's willing to pay $20 for someone to sell a $7.95 book, though, because his upsell and his funnels are that good.
Yeah, that affiliate to the book, man, pumps up some extra cash. I'll tell you.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
It's like that free plus shipping book ends up being like a $30 to $40 commission, and that's
yeah.
Like what the fuck?
That's, dude, I'll take it. Hey, man, I fell into his funnel. I got some funnel scripts, his Fill Your Funnel program, certified partnership. I mean, he's definitely taken a hit to my bank. Been completely worth it. I love everything ClickFunnels does and says, by the way. Russell Brunson's a genius, and he learns from the best with Dan Kennedy and all those guys. But, yeah, anyways, I got distracted. So what are we talking about?
Okay, Ronald cleared it up. Yes, from the campaign. So if you leverage the emails they receive from the campaigns, yeah, you can. Like I said, I leverage that based off of lookalike audiences and once you get some data, conversion campaigns. So that's how I leverage it. I know that I haven't gone and directly did another campaign right to that email list, but that's something that you could definitely do. You could definitely take that email list and send them an offer to anything else by email, even just on Facebook. Send them, hey, you check this out for this offer. Here's something new we're doing, or whatever, So yeah. And Rose says, I think this is my favorite Webby so far. So yeah, this has been a good one. We got a work cut out for us to keep topping these, right, Nick? We got our work cut. Rose said this is her favorite Webby so far. So this live is like her favorite so far. We've done a few. So we have our work cut out for us to keep topping it, right?
Oh, yeah. We'll be good, though. We'll keep having some guests on and get people going. And, I mean, there's just so many things that come up. And, we could have 5 different calls about sales specifically alone. That's the good news.
Yeah.
We're going to get John in here one day. We got to plan that out and have, like, a big turnout for it.
If you guys ever see us post saying John Lagarde is going to be on a call, you make sure you're here. I'm probably not even going to say a word and just sit and take notes. Like, yeah, Eddie knows him. We all, yeah, he is. Yeah, we'll continue to get people on, and we'll keep getting more topics, do some open hangouts and everything like that. But awesome, Rose. That's great to hear. We want to keep providing value and helping you guys grow and learning ourselves. I learned a ton tonight. I was dropping some huge knowledge, man. Like, I love it.
Oh, I learned a lot from you guys too.
What's that?
Oh, sorry about that. No, I'm just going to ask real quick. Is this going to be on your wall so I can rewatch this? Because I didn't catch the LinkedIn prospect.
On the Business Not Bullshit fan page, and it's also in the group.
Okay.
So
awesome.
on there. That's why we do it on the fan page, so all the videos just stay there.
Okay. Sweet.
So so you don't have to dig through the group to find videos. All the lives we do are going to be there. So yeah.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, hey, you got something else, boss?
No, I'll talk to you guys about it offline. I'm thinking of another idea. I got some unique shit happening here. But yeah, all right, guys. Thanks a lot. Nick, go ahead. Say what.
We'll be back tomorrow night. Come join us tomorrow night for some hangouts. We'll love to get to know you guys and continue, meet more people. Thanks again, Oz and Eddie.
Thanks,
no
guys.
problem,
Great
brother.
to be here.
All right, guys. Take care.
Later.